Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, I am delighted to introduce you to Sharon Tomkins, who is a health coach and registered personal trainer and founder of Zeal Life and Wellness Coaching. So, welcome, Sharon.
Hi, great to be here.
Thank you. So today, Sharon, you're going to share with us some time-saving tips for healthy eating. But before we get started, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your business?
Yeah, absolutely. So, just as you said, I'm the founder of Zeal Life and Wellness Coaching. I basically help people to find fun, creative ways to be and stay healthy. And I do that using a combination of personal coaching, health science, and fitness training. So I really take a very holistic approach. I use a model called the 5 dimensions of wellness, and it really means that my work could cover anything from nutrition and exercise through to mental and emotional health.
Great. All right. So let's get started on the question 1. So aside from time, what stops us from healthy eating?
Such a great question. Yeah, I think for this one, probably we need to maybe not judge ourselves so much as I think would be the obvious answer. And in saying that, I actually like to think of us as thinking of us as human beings. So really we're a biopsychosocial type of creature. And so that gives us a bit of insight into perhaps what prevents us from eating healthy all the time. So if we break that down and think, okay, we've got the biological part of ourselves. So that means we're adapted to eat many, many foods. So we can eat things and we will survive. It doesn't necessarily mean we'll thrive, but we are adapted to eat them. So we've got some other things in our biology, which are considerations, things like hormones, and also obviously we're always managing our hunger cues because it's truly important for us to have energy so that we can keep going. If we look at other aspects, we think about our social selves. We like to be with other people. We like to eat together. We like to feel we belong. And, that gives us this sense of satisfaction. So that comes into play when we're thinking about our eating behaviours. And lastly, we've got our psychology. So our psychology can be things like sometimes we're not hungry, but our food makes us feel better. It gives us comfort, or it gives us joy. We've all eaten that piece of cake at a birthday party, and we might not be hungry, but we're having a great time, and who wouldn't? It's the right thing to do. So I think things that stop us, it's not so much just that we have terrible willpower, it's that actually we've got these aspects to ourselves as humans that we need to perhaps understand a bit more about and work with rather than against.
The social aspect really resonates with me because it was only just last night that I got invited out to dinner with a friend, and I wasn't terribly hungry for food, but I was like, yeah, I'd love to go out for dinner with you. Why don't we do that? So we did, and I ate. And I wasn't going to eat dinner. I'd eaten quite a sizable lunch, and I felt satisfied still from lunch. So it was interesting.
Yeah, and I think that's who we are as humans, and I think we shouldn't try and stop ourselves from doing these things. It's just about growing awareness and how we can, how can we work with that to. Obviously, we can't eat what we want when we want all the time, or that probably has some serious health consequences. And we all know that, but it's kind of getting that balance, and what are some of the strategies, I guess, that could help us to do that is really, how I help people, I guess.
Yeah, and would I be right in assuming that our eating habits should change according to or not should change, but will likely change according to our age or the stage we are in life?
Yeah, absolutely. So we absolutely know that the older we get, the less energy that we actually need to function. So obviously when we're younger, we're growing, we're in a growth time, and that requires more energy in. I guess we measure that in calories, but if we think of it in terms of energy to produce muscle and bone, then that's what's going on. And obviously the older we get, yeah, we do have to adjust, and perhaps what we could do when we were younger starts to have a different result as we get a bit older.
Yeah. And many of us have seen it through lockdown as we've become less. I mean, some people got more active, and a lot of us got more active, but we also got a lot more active, as I saw with some of your video clips, with our fridge. So we might have exercised more, but we sort of consumed a bit more as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a great point. I think we think, okay, you know, I've eaten an extra helping of hot chips or something, I'll just go and do a big workout. But it actually is very, very difficult to out-train, outrun a bad diet, to be honest. So yeah. I think that's probably a bit of a myth within health and wellness, is that this somehow evens the scales when it doesn't quite do that. So that can trip some people up, I think, sometimes too.
I could see definitely that would. Okay, so we'll move on to the next question. So what is the first step someone can take, someone who wants to save time but eat healthy?
That's a really great question. I think that this is all about, you know, making it easy to win. So, you know, how are we going to make it easy to win? And I think it largely comes down to two things. The one is planning, and the other is replacements. And so keep those two things in mind, and I'll unpack that first one a little bit first. So we all know that if we fail to plan, we can plan to fail. We also all know that we should be eating healthy, and we also all know that food is essential for us as humans. But it's kind of like, how do we get these three things working together so that we get a win? Because that's where the trouble lies, right? So I think a first step, and this is what I would say to everyone, is, you know, clean out your pantry and fill up your fridge. And the reason for that is, it sounds simple, but the reason behind it is what we absolutely know. It doesn't matter which dietary protocol you follow, whether you're a paleo person or a vegan or dairy-free, it doesn't matter. What we absolutely know is that whole unprocessed food is way healthier for us than all the, you know, the dried goods that we find in the pantry. So that first step really is have a good clean out and just think to myself, okay, what have we got in there? What don't we need? With the idea being that you're going to eat more from your fridge and less from your pantry larder cupboard. Because just by doing that, you're going to get a win straight off. So, and that sort of leads into another little piece, which I find really helpful, is develop for yourself a list of go-to meals. So this is really handy, especially if you're busy, because you get home and then you're just running around and you're thinking, what do I make? And you're all out of creativity, and the last thing you want to do is be a culinary genius when you're tired, right? So let's not try and be the culinary genius, but there are foods that we all love and we know are on the whole healthy. And they fit within the remit of having whole and processed food. So one of my big suggestions would be, write a list for yourself of 3 healthy breakfasts, 3 healthy lunches, and 3 healthy dinners. And then on the days where it's just not possible to have that space to think about what's going to come for dinner, you just go to one of your go-to meals and you just make that. It will be one that you know, it'll have all the whole unprocessed foods in it, and it can be simple. It doesn't have to be a gourmet delight. It can just be something that's wholesome food that you enjoy and your family enjoy, and you know, you're not going to have any of that drama around, oh mum, what have you done with this recipe? I don't even like it. I just think it's a really simple, practical step, and it's just there at your fingertips. So that would be my second tip on planning. My third one, and I think this comes into a little bit of what you were saying about last night when you were out for dinner, yes, is one of the things I've done, because we know we're social and why not, it's great. We want to belong. We want our friends. Of course, that's who we are. We're human. So what I do with that is I've got a rule for eating out. Now, it sounds a bit strict, but actually it's just a little bit of common sense, just because otherwise I'll look at a menu and go, oh yeah, I quite fancy that. But I want to eat healthy. So I've just decided that lunchtime for me always looks like a chicken salad. Now, obviously, you know, different restaurants do different chicken salads, but generally a chicken salad always is quite tasty. And I know what it is, and it's going to be okay. It's still going to be relatively healthy. Job done. And I do the same thing for dinner. So it might be for me, market fish and veggies, or it could be if I feel like fish is, you know, not quite substantial enough, maybe I'll just go for the steak and, you know, go for a salad or something like that. So it's really just having this predetermined idea of what you're going to pick. Now, obviously, the other side to this is when it's a birthday, when it's a special occasion, no rules. Rules out the window. You know, we've got to enjoy life. So,
yeah. Okay. Oh, so Sharon, we had a little bit of a technical hitch there, but I think we can pick it up from where we left off. So you were saying that when we are celebrating, all rules off. So where do we go from there?
Okay, absolutely, totally. When you're celebrating, throw the rules out the window and just have a great time with your friends, because obviously that's what life's all about. It's what makes it fun and rich. So the other side, so that's the planning side. The other side is other quick wins. Could be easy replacement foods. So this can give us, it can sound a little bit daunting and a little bit boring, but actually it's a really great way to get some really quick wins if you're looking to just up your healthy game a little bit. So let's say you really enjoy fizzies. Now, we know that they're often packed with sugars and they're packed with sweeteners that are obviously additives, and we might want to be moving away from that if we're thinking of being more healthy. So an easy fix would be to go for something like sparkling water. Now, it can sound a little bit dull, but the good thing is if you like the bubbly taste, that's something to do with what your taste buds love. And so sparkling water will actually tick that box for you. So it's just kind of thinking of what's a smart alternative. So another one might be pasta. We said before about moving away from those refined, processed, ultra-processed food, the ones that got a lot of human intervention. So we could move instead towards something like zoodles. So zoodles are where, you know, we use the spiralizer, and courgettes are great for doing them with, or carrots, and that just ups our vegetable intake in our meal. And it also obviously moves us away from those ultra processed foods. So right. Another one I like, sorry, Kayleen, I think I interrupted you there.
No, I was just saying great.
So one of the things when I'm thinking about these replacements is I love to think about the idea of making your good better and your better best. So you're just taking these tiny steps towards healthier rather than having to do it all in one go. So that might mean that you, at the moment, are eating something like white rice, and you could move towards a situation where you're eating whole grain rice. So it's moving from these refined, ultra-processed food through to sort of a more whole grain approach. Okay. Now, obviously, some people, for some diets, it's good to reduce the amount of carbohydrate, and we know about this in terms of longevity. But just for today and for just simplicity, we just want to think about what does whole food look like. So that's where we're moving towards. Another great one, a quick win, is to try and cut out the trans fats, because they're really no good for us at all, and move more towards what would be healthy fats and oils, things like olive oil or coconut oil. So those can be real quick wins that, you know, when you're doing that pantry audit, that you can get rid of the ones that aren't so good and maybe move towards buying ones which are a little bit better for you. So right. That's replacements.
Oh, fantastic. So the one that was something that really resonated with me is the cleaning, or going through my pantry. So I know that over recent times, products have snuck in there. I don't know who's doing it. That are processed products. Well, it's the peanuts that are coated in the nice spicy, you know, flavorings and that type of thing. So I feel really inspired to go through my pantry and just take another look at it, fill up my fridge, reduce what's in my pantry, because that's a really easy thing for me to do. And the extra benefit of that is I can wipe out the shelves at the same time. So win-win, and that's what you love, right?
I do. I love a win-win. And just hearing you say about the peanuts there with the, the nice spicy coating on there. I think another thing about the processed foods that probably, works against us is that they are designed to catch us. So they're designed to hit all the things we love. So imagine if you've got a handful of plain almonds, you're probably just going to have maybe 6 or 8 of them at a time. Whereas if you start now putting a bit of salt on there, a bit of sugar, the bag's gone before you know it. So, it's designed to trap you, right? It's a marketing product, and we're hooked in. So so keep your eyes open for that. Just see if anyone's trying to hoodwink you a little bit when you're clearing out, and just use your smarts.
And you're exactly right, because I've sometimes thought if they could just give me the flavour, I wouldn't need the food. But that's probably not the best way either. Because sometimes you're just going for flavour, right? So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. And what a great thing that we have these amazing taste buds in our mouth. That's again a completely human thing, and they've got a purpose. But obviously, we have to be smarter than our taste buds, I guess. We have to use this bit up here.
Yeah, and the marketing. And the other thing I really liked as well was being prepared for when you go out to dine with people. So I really love the idea of having in your mind that it's the fish or the chicken that you might go for, as opposed to getting overwhelmed by a menu that all sounds delicious and you want to explore it and you go down paths that you wouldn't normally go down. So I'm a Caesar salad person. I love that. I have been accused of being boring, but that's what I love. I have diversified, but I'm going to go back to what I love.
I love it. Yes, you do you.
Exactly. Thank you for that. Okay, so let's go on to the next point. So are there any research benefits of getting organised on our everyday health?
Yeah, this is really fascinating. A great question. There's a number of studies actually which indicate that if we spend a little bit of time getting organised, that it has huge benefits across a wide range of wellness or health markers. So I've got a few which probably would be interesting to hear. So the first one is they found that in a study that women who kept their house tidier, or people probably who kept their house tidier, were healthier and more active. So that's interesting. I mean, I think, we all know we love a tidy home, but it's actually got health benefits as well. There was a 2010 study, and this one was just specifically for women, on women, and they found that women who said their house was cluttered actually also had a higher incidence of stress hormones. Now, I think that's not rocket science, but clearly they needed to study it to prove that it wasn't, and that it actually is the case, that we are more stressed when we're in a cluttered environment. And the last one, this is one from the National Sleep Foundation, and they found that people who make their bed every morning are 19% more likely to get a better and more quality of sleep of a night. So it's like, really interesting. So I think that does indicate to us that we really do get these benefits. And there were some really interesting ones as well. It was things like people were more likely to make healthy choices. They were likely to feel less stressed. They were have a better mood. So all the indicators that we would say really good wellness or health were that was hitting all of those. And all that had changed was people becoming just a little bit more organised. And I think this might come back to where I started originally, thinking of us as that bio-psycho-social creature. We know that our bodies are pretty much all biological systems or neurochemical, and they really do have a systematic schedule of how they operate. And we're often controlled by things like our circadian rhythm. So when we consider that, it's probably not too surprising that when we get organised, we feel the benefit, because it's kind of wired into our DNA to be, an organised being, if you like. So yeah, I think getting organised is definitely, there's evidence for that. And if you can just even do a little bit, doesn't have to be the whole thing, you know, if the pantry's too much, all in one go. Mine probably would be overwhelming all in one go, and you know, yeah, break it down. You know, it's moving slowly in bite-sized pieces, no pun intended there with bite-sized, to find a healthier us.
Right, okay, so you mentioned the pantry, so maybe if your pantry, if you look at it and you've got good intentions, you really want to sort your pantry, but it's overwhelming, maybe you could go shelf by shelf, corner by corner, whatever works for you, because I think you're all about every step forward is a positive move, it's a win, right? So
that, yeah, totally. And I think and this is a bit of an aside, but even when my children were small, and you know, your house just does get like chaos. You know, I've got 3 children who are quite close together in age, and one of the things that we did there was just 10-minute tidy up time. And to be fair, I still use 10-minute tidy up time on myself. I don't, you know, they're adults now. I don't have to tell them what to do, although I'd like to sometimes. But the principle's still there, and I still use that if I feel the task is too much. Then exactly just what you said, you know, just shelf by shelf, or a little corner, or you know, the box of spices or whatever it is, you know, that's, yeah, just attack that and go from there.
Absolutely. So in my working life, I have been accused of having a really messy desk, and I always did have a messy desk, but I always knew where everything was, and I defended that. But I no longer work that way, and it worked for me. A messy desk worked for me. It was cluttered, but I knew where everything was. But what I find now when I have a tidy desk is my brain isn't overworking to remember where it was in that pile. So I do have freedom of space in my brain somehow. So that unclutteredness, it does free you up and give you a sense of control and peace.
Yeah, I agree. I couldn't agree more. And I think that that sense of space, that creating margin, that, you know, going for the quick win, just spending a little bit of time getting organized is almost, you know, it's a similar kind of thing, isn't it? It's the desk of our healthy eating, if you like, our pantry cupboard or our go-to meals. It's just about spending that 5 minutes and yeah, getting organized and thinking up a few replacement meals. Really basic strategies to just support us to do the things we love, you know. Yeah,
Set ourselves up for success. So those have been awesome tips, not just for me, but I'm sure for some of our audience, if not all of our audience out there, Sharon. So in closing, do you have any final words for our watchers today?
I think for me, it's all about, you know, don't be too hard on yourself. You know, give yourself permission. You are a biopsychosocial creature, and as such, there are some things that go with that. You know, we are going to have biological processes that mean, you know, our hormones are going to call for food, and we're going to answer them, and that's perfectly okay. You know, there are going to be times where we need to celebrate with someone, and that's who we are as humans. So I think it's, you know, give yourself permission. You're human, be human, and then, you know, just do your best, just step by step, forward, one bit at a time. Every bit forward is a win.
That's fantastic, Sharon. You know, I think that you're wonderful, and I really hope that if your message, and it will have resonated with at least some of our audience today, I hope they'll reach out to you. Your website will be at the end of this video. I hope that you get some phones ringing or emails coming to you, and I just appreciate your time today. So thank you everybody for watching. Bye for now, and stay safe.